Hello and welcome to Edukemy's YouTube channel. My name is Harsh Singh and in this video we shall discuss the featured news for today, that is 15th of December 2021. Today's featured news is on the human capital outflow, which is also called as brain drain. Now this comes to light in being able to understand so many important events happening lately. A 37-year-old Mr. Parag Agrawal becoming the CEO of Twitter. And then we have Lina Nair being appointed as CEO of the French brand, fashion brand Chanel. Similarly, we have had innumerable people who have been assigned at the helm of the most important technology companies abroad, Google, Microsoft, right? So because of this idea of understanding what is the reason for human capital flight from India, what are its implications? Is it good for India or is it bad? What should be done in the longer term or the mid term? This is what is the conversation that we will have today. And I welcome all of you because you people who are here on live, they are discussing this event already. Netra, good evening. Good evening, Ashish. Hi, Chetanshi. Good evening, Sam. Good evening, Amlan. And who else is here? We have Bhabani. Good evening to you as well. And it's a great conversation that is happening, right? And largely I agree with most of the points, right? So very good. Now, before we begin this conversation, there was a question which was asked by Chitanshi. She asked if she should watch the videos live or after the video ends. Because once the video ends, you can watch it at 1.5x speed, 1.25, 1.5, 1.75 and 2.0x as well. Now, I also used to do this while I used to prepare. That is that the video goes online and then I watch it at double the speed so that it saves my time. So both the methods are all right. If you watch it online, is good. If you watch it offline, that's also good, provided you are making notes. Now, one advantage in watching online is that we have a community with each other. We have known at least 10 people, 12 people who are watching and are regular participants. There are people who are watching off and on, but regular participants. Good evening, Ravi. So these people are binding to each other, right? So we ensure that if we have to go to movie or if we have to go for a party, we ensure that we do not go at this time. I also commit my time, no? We all commit this time to each other. So this is forming a society. This is one thing. The second thing is there are very few live programs. So people watch it at their own times. It is good for them. But once this community builds up, we are also into conversation here. You can ask the doubts live. And this also ensures that every evening is reserved for this, right? So before this time, you go for enjoyment. After this time, you can relax. And mornings you can utilize for some other, answer writing, remembering the concepts of optional or GS papers. And middle hours can be utilized for ethics, essay. That way you can, utilize the whole day. And today, towards the evening, you can utilize yourself for current affairs. So this is how life can be done. This is how I recommend anybody to study in the day. So third part of the day could be dedicated to current affairs and notes making. Second part and first part especially to memorizing optional paper or concepts of other GS papers, history, geography, economy, polity, because the mind is fresh. And the second hour to be given for creative works like answer writing, like essay paper, ethics paper, right? And in the evening, we could dedicate ourselves to the current affairs of the day. It is up to you to watch online or offline. Online will build the community, right? It will bind you, indirect binding you. Otherwise, you will be paying for the same thing somewhere or the other to be able to study current affairs. So it's totally up to you, right? So these are the various aspects of it. There could be some more. Other people could definitely pitch in. There's some people who are working. They watch this video next day morning or late at night. So it's totally up to you, right? If you are available, I think being on the spot is the most thrilling. That's what I feel personally. So to begin this conversation, human capital flight. We have seen at least 5-6 of these CEOs of global corporations now who were Indians, who were NRIs or expatriates who had moved out of India, being citizens of those countries, but now have become very important people in the global corporate houses. Of the Fortune 500 companies, Fortune 500, this Fortune magazine releases the list of 500 most vital important companies which have maximum revenue, and amongst them 30% of the CEOs are Indians. What a feat to achieve. Not only that, we have other important feat as well. For example, 20 million strong Indian community and this is the highest community from around the world which is moved abroad. So this is the kind of community that we have. 2 crore people from India who have moved abroad and are doing remarkable, especially in the field of STEM, science, technology, engineering and management. Why in this particular sector? We will address a question like this also. Why not in arts? Why not in commerce and accountancy? Why especially in science, technology, engineering and management? Not only that, there is a very considerable population of Indian engineers in information technology in Silicon Valley. A very good proportion of them, that is almost 30% of them in the Silicon Valley and California are Indian engineers, not Chinese, not American, not Europeans, but Indian engineers. Not only that, there is another important data, that is that 10% of the CEOs, of these important CEOs, technology CEOs, they are Indians. So it indicates one thing, definitely one thing, that we are definitely good at something, right? All Indians are definitely good at something. When we are exposed to this global competition, then something good comes up, from our end. There are reasons for this. I was studying at some place, the reasons for specific for Indians being made the CEOs at the helm of affairs of any company is that they come from humble backgrounds. They come from humble backgrounds. They would have shifted from India or from one place to another and then moved. They could be first generation people who have settled or the second generation people who have shifted. So since they are migrants, they know the struggles of life, and that is why in the organization also it is nothing but a human being which is struggling to survive and excel. So since they are from humble origins, they are migrants, their attempt to survive is very strong. Their survivability is very strong. And because of this quality, because of their humility, because of their attempt to become even better day by day, they stand far better chances at becoming CEO because of their temperament in America as well. This is what I had read in one of the very beautiful editorials, why Indians especially are preferred as the CEOs in many organizations, right? So moving ahead to some important reasons about this. See, one important thing, that these are the data that you should note, right? 30% of these Fortune 500 companies, 30% of the engineers in Silicon Valley, 10% of the valuable technology company CEOs, and the maximum number of people residing, Indians residing outside or Indian associated residing outside around the world, that is given to India itself. Not only that, this also gets remittances to us, $75 billion of remittances. This is the highest in the world. So this is what we achieved the last year. So these are some important advantages of India placing itself at the high table in corporate houses. And one important impact of this, the increase of global Indian diaspora, this leads to a very goodwill generation, and this has helped in many important conflict resolution. Can you give some examples here? One example that comes to my mind straight away is Indo-US nuclear deal. Many of these people have gained such center stage in the society and politics and economy of those countries that they have started to advocate for India. So this is a very good thing in one way, right? But what is the issue here? See, this is brain drain or human capital flight. Our brain, the capital that could have been utilized in our country, it goes abroad. There are various reasons you have rightly pointed out. This is about corruption in the country. This is about having better positions in that country, right? So they have more funds. People have written that the quality of life there is higher. The pay is better, right? There are better market value for our work, better research infrastructure. Absolutely correct. Favoritism is in India more than it is there in the West. This is what some people have written. So none of you are wrong here. In addition to them, let me sometimes maybe reiterate some of the points or organize them well. You can organize these points in majorly two factors, push factors and pull factors, right? So wrongly mentioned, both of them are mentioned as push. One of them are push factors, the other one as pull factors. Push factors are something that they are pushing India, pushing these people to move out of India. It is pushing. We don't have jobs, go there. So lack of job opportunities, highly skilled job opportunities are few in India, right? Quality of higher education. The higher education quality abroad is far better than what is offered in India. Wage gap. The money that people secure in India and America or Canada, there is a huge difference in them. So these are the push factors. These push people to go abroad. But there are other factors also. For example, our society system. It gives more prestige to the person who has settled abroad. What an irony, right? So Mr. Satya Nadella, he is the son of a very, very important bureaucrat. Mr. Nadella, he passed away a few years back. He was an IAS officer and he served at the rank of Rural Development Secretary of the Union government, right? Mr. Rao's government, Prime Minister, and his son has settled in USA, right? So both are doing well, but he was not inspired to be in the country. He went abroad. Why? All that you have mentioned, right? The acceptance of the talent, the amount of wage that the people get, the liberty to operate, less corrupt environment. And many of them also try to come back to India, but that also has reduced. So there's something called as reverse brain drain. People, when they get mature, when they get settled, when they are all settled in life, they also want to come back emotionally. They are attached to India. They come back and serve the Indian community, but that is also not very strong. That community is also not very strong, right? So there are more push factors. For example, societal status. It pushes people to go abroad and work well, because this happens with many South Indian people, right? So people from Telangana, many of them are engineers. They go back, they go to USA or Canada. What is the prime agenda? One of the agenda of the family is also to boast about the social status of the person, right? There is also social safety. My sister herself has gone abroad, and a few reasons that she gave when, back in 2012 we spoke. She said pollution is one thing she doesn't like here. And will you imagine, she has gone to a place where there is pollution, pollen grains. She is based in Seattle and earlier she was in Texas in USA. Both the places are laden with some or the other kind of pollution, right? But those pollution are not the traditional air pollution that India goes through. That is the pollen pollution there, right? And then Seattle has another issue, that is of the sunlight. The sunlight is not visible in months of time. So people long for sunlight to be present. See, so pollution is there, but the perception is definitely different for what is in India and what is in USA. See, remember we had also studied one Chandigarh pollution map, pollen map. The first pollen map in India that has been figured, that is for city Chandigarh. India also has these kind of pollution, but what is highlighted is the traditional air pollution. But the perception of India and America is so different, though both the places go through some or the other kind of pollution. See, then we have USA or other countries which have pro-student policies. For example, a person can complete their master's degree in as less as 6 to 12 months also. Here it is mandatory 2 years. But if a person can complete all their papers within stipulated time, that's fine. They can extend this to more than 2 years as well. But extending here in India for more than 2 years, their general master's degree, for example, MSc in chemistry, this will be considered as failure, right? So there is various flexibility which is not offered in our Indian community. These are some of the reasons that you can spot. And the idea must be to keep thinking on these issues, because these are the kind of questions that UPSC could actually generate. Now, is it bad or is it good for our country? This could lead to capital formation in the country, absolutely. And that capital, human capital, has gone. What is human capital? So human capital is an individual on which the society would have worked, parents would have worked, the community would have worked, so that it produces some capital, something productive for future. Health, education, skill, all of them have gone abroad. This human capital has evaded and it has not going to come back, right? It could have provided beautiful opportunities in India, but it has not come back, right? So whenever we go for immigration, we never say that we are going to settle in America. Whenever the immigration officer asks question of America, what are you going to do about your skills that you have gained? They always say, I'll return back to India and serve my people. But that is not true. Almost everybody stays back. Almost everybody, right? So it leads to India as it gives a setback also to the country. Firstly, if we are studying abroad, we are sending our money abroad, we send as much as $10 billion every year in the form of the students who go abroad, right? And we also send a lot of money, while we send our computer experts abroad. We have to outsource our services. These are computer experts we are talking of, technology experts. And it also increases the knowledge gap. See, if these people were in India, they would have definitely pushed other people to perform better. Politicians, the science technology team and everybody, but it is not happening. And this is where you should remember that stats that we spoke of. The technology innovation in India is 0.67% of India's GDP. America, it is 3%. South Korea, it is 4% plus. Germany, 3%. Similarly, South Korea and Israel, 4% plus. China 2.2%, three times India. Compare this. Show that India is lagging behind. If India has better, innovation index, then India will be having the population coming back, right? There's also a link to the labor market, right? What about remittances? Yes, we serve a good amount of remittances. This saves forex money for our country, around $75 billion this year, and this is a very good thing. But this also leads to providing something for the democratic dividend as well. So when there are so many people, such a huge working age population, above 40 million people in India working, some of them definitely need to go abroad, no? Because such burgeoning population, how will they compete with each other? They can go and compete. They're competing with the best of the best Chinese and Americans, and doing exceedingly far better than them. So this democratic dividend is definitely reaping harvest, nurturing our citizens for the future as well, right? Human development are getting increasingly better with time, right? This boosts investment to the country, absolutely. It develops goodwill for the country, absolutely. Does it do welfare in the political negotiations? Yes, it does. It has done in the case of Australia, USA, UK, many other countries, Canada as well, right? So this is how there is an international pressure built on our country as well. International pressure built on our country to be able to improve the quality of life in India. See, when the Canadian Prime Minister talks of human rights violations in the country, this is a controversial thing to talk about, but then he talks only because there is a political implication in Canada. Why so? Because of the Indian community living in Canada. There are three kinds of people who live abroad. First is the NRIs, non-resident Indians. Also, the pun around this is this is also being called as non-returning Indians, non-resident Indians. Remember that. And then we have PIOs, person of Indian origins, and the third one is the OCI, overseas citizens of India. See, person of Indian origin means their parents or forefathers or mothers would be from India. And overseas citizens, that means they were citizens sometime, but now they have gone abroad. Now OCI and PIO have been merged. So they are all the foreigner people with non-Indian passport. But NRIs, non-resident Indians, they have Indian passport residing in a foreign country for more than 180 days a year. NRIs. So these two kind of people mainly reside outside for a longer period of time. For people who going for tourist purposes, they are not counted here if they are living for less than 6 months abroad, right? So these are the two diaspora that we are talking of, right? And it also leads to certain advantages. For example, breaking societal barriers, what people consider as caste issues, gender issues, community, regionalism here. There is no regionalism or community issues there. We all treat each other as Indians equally, and then we fight what? We fight racism. So yes, that does exist abroad. You will see that once, if you have traveled abroad, you might have experienced, So we all come out as Indians, right? There. So how should India approach an issue like this? India should look at the root cause, delivering better services, better education, better research standards, giving better finances, better flexibility in job working conditions, better retirement services. Government initiatives are there. Yes, they are there. So there was an initiative in which scientists abroad, they were being called during their summer or winter vacations or times to serve for just 3 months in India. But you know what was the salary given? Only Indian standards. If we do not give them the American standard salary, why will they return back to India, right? This was a scheme launched by the government itself, but yes, it had only mixed results. So we should give them remuneration which are at par with the best because they are performing as the best. Startup as facilitator, yes, we have these companies. Many of the edutech startups now are working for USA. We have companies like Oyo, Swiggy, Ola, Paytm, now at the global fora right now. So these are the ones which are getting served by Indians abroad as well, right? And then we have global diaspora, global commons. See, what are the global commons? There is a concept of global commons. Anything that goes beyond national, the air, the quality of water, terrorism, climate change, these are the global commons, whether they are issues or things of advantage. This society is that of globalization. We cannot restrict the movement of persons, and we have to make it something that gives India the edge in the global arena. When you look at a question like this, a theme like this, look at the impact on society, look at the impact on individual, look at the impact on economy, look at the impact on environment, look at the impact on culture, right? And you will have certain number of perspectives with examples. There is your answer, right? Let me look at what you guys have written here. Work-life balance, absolutely, sir. Ravi, absolutely correct. Then Ashish says, sir, in the PDF, M of STEM says to be mathematics. No, it is management. It is wrong. It is management. Neha says, working abroad is considered a matter of social procedure. Yes, absolutely. In many communities, there are 3 or 4 primary communities which point at going abroad. One is the Punjabi community. The second one is Gujarati community. The third one is community from Kerala. And the fourth is the one from Hyderabad, around Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, right? So majorly these 4 communities go abroad. One of them, the Punjabi community and Gujarati community, they are into all the business activities, right from food sector to international business and leading to gem and other business, all of it, jewelry. And then we have the Andhra community, which Telangana community, which largely is into computer software development, and community from Kerala, again into various activities, but they serve as the in the medical fraternity more than other fraternities, right? So general stereotyping, this is not a global formula, but yes, these are the sectors which are more prevalent from these communities, right? Sam says pollen pollution is more in winters. Absolutely, it is in winters, right? So that is the time when there is autumn season and the pollen, they start to spread, and some of them cause irritants. So Priya says, most of my friends left the job here and have taken GRE and are working abroad now. Yes, absolutely. So whether it is the irony or not, this is something one has to imagine at a very, very personal level, because after all, if one does work here as well, there are ample of opportunities for oneself to grow individually, in society, as in economy as well, in multiple ways. So when a question like this comes, brain drain is not an entirely bad phenomenon for India, critically analyze, right? Critically analyze. So the things that we covered in the conversation today are about brain drain are some important data and stats. Do remember all 4 or 5 of them. Put them down at some place. We understood what is the meaning of human capital movement, right? So human capital flight from India, if it is brain drain or not, what are the positives and what are the negatives? We studied both the aspects of it. We also studied the impact of this, right? Impact, I said, at multiple levels: individual, societal, historical, cultural, economic, environmental level. And what could India do to ensure that the side effects of brain drain, they do not happen? So it is not an entirely bad phenomenon for India. Critically analyze. So you will look at the critical aspects, good and bad, both of the brain drain from India. Provide examples of how the international community diaspora is helping India grow. This is a critical analysis of it. Provide example of how these foreign residents are sending their money back and investing back again in India, how they are emotionally attached to events happening in India, how there is an international effect of what is the presence of the community in Canada and Australia. So this is the critical analysis of it, right? The side effects also should be written. We are losing out on money, we are losing out on talent, something that could have definitely built more of prosperity, more of community participation, more of employment in the country, right? So think in a very, very broader framework and try to cover many aspects, including examples, and there will be your analysis, right? So if you like this conversation, if you like this attempt, do share some love on us through likes, comments and shares, right? You got to like this initiative. This is how we will be blessed right now, and we will meet tomorrow in the evening for the current affairs discussion, and then we have the feature news discussion, which will be just following that. and you got some questions, put them down, and you got some suggestions, that is also most welcome. Meanwhile, we will meet again tomorrow in the evening. You got to, this is fresh in your mind, note down the key points, and if you can, do write an answer on this. This will help you understand the concept of brain drain, right? So thank you all for watching. Thank you, Bhabani. Thank you, everybody else. Thank you, Amlan. I will see you all tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock, right? Thank you, Ashish. Thank you, everybody else.